What's going on, everybody? Today I'm bringing you a new developed loadout that has helped solo the most strenuous missions for PvE. Now, though, I feel like that I have successfully acquired a loadout that can, of course, be tweaked to your specific needs. As for myself, the build that I am about to relay to you has proven successful in the most strenuous situations throughout the endgame of the Division 2. Before I get further into the build, we have a confirmed date of when Tidal Basin will be released, April 5th, 2019, next Friday. The expansive nature of World Tier 5 will undoubtedly be a test to see how well your endgame builds are before the release of the 3 new gear sets, Ongoing Directive, True Patriot, and Hardwired. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into the build. I'm currently running the Specialization Sharpshooter. So for my primary weapon, I currently have the custom M44 rifle, marksman rifle, allowing for 138% headshot damage. Okay, the talents I'm running on it are naked. Headshot damage is increased by 50% while your armor is being depleted. That actually comes in more effectively than you realize, because when you're over cover and you're aiming down the sights, you are taking the damage from enemies who are shooting at you. So by depleting your armor, your headshot damage is increased by 50%. Allegro, 10% rate of fire, and then rooted, while equipped, all and in cover, all skill damage and healing is increased by 25% for 10 seconds. Anything regarding healing while running solo is kind of an important talent. So for rooted, it's a toss-up. I haven't really seen it in use when I've been using this, but it's up to what you want to do. Okay. So next we're running a black market M60. This provides a damage to target out of cover, which is 50%. Along with Ranger, every 5 meters you are from the target grants plus 2% weapon damage. You're far away enough from the enemies to where this actually becomes very effective. Okay, I use Ranger. I can see Ranger every time. It helps a lot. So it's definitely whatever's going to be effective for your build. No, you have your extra 20% magazine capacity. Any extra rounds that you can provide downrange are perfect. Again, it's another thing depending on your build that you're trying to achieve. But yeah, I'm currently running a 20% magazine capacity extra talent. Next is Wascali. While holstered, you are able to resist 5 snare attempts. Can occur once every 60 seconds. This actually comes in handy more so than I actually would have thought. Reason being is because when you're behind cover and you've got the enemies with the riot foam coming at you and trying to spray you, you're able to resist that ensnare ability that they can commit to you. So, again, depending on your build, it's all about how effective it is going to be for you. Okay. Current mods I'm running on it are just an ACOG scope, 25% optimal range. It does negate critical hit damage, but it's one of those things you have to sacrifice. Got the tactical small pouch for a reload speed of 25%. Critical hit damage of 10%, and then a flash hider 762 for added critical hit damage as well. Okay, I am running a D50 sidearm. I don't really use it much, so I'm not really going to get into it. But now for the gear. So the gear, I'm using a full brand set, 2 pieces of another, and again, 1 other piece. So let's get into the brand set that I'm currently using, which is the Wyvern Wear. Now this will provide a critical hit damage of 7%, the drone skill power 15%, and a critical hit chance of 10%. This allows for your CHD and your CHC to synergize really well. Now for the attributes on the mask itself, I'm running 21% damage to elites and then an extra 6% critical hit chance. Talents, which I feel are very needed for a solo build, are restorative, which is 10% health on kill. It allows you to stay in combat longer, and of course to negate the fact that if you're going to die or not. Next, for the backpack, part of the Wyvern Wear, like I said earlier, Pygo style sack. The attributes for this are the modified critical hit chance, modified because it's capped out at 6, the added health of 6,868, and then the weapon damage of an added 4.5%. So that's a weapon damage across both your marksman rifle and your M60. Okay, the talent I have for it PvE talents, of course, hard hitting added 15% damage to elites. You can melt them right away with this talent, so it's very nice. Harden, 10% armor. The added armor helps along with any damage that you're receiving. So these two talents I definitely recommend adding to a PvE style build, along with the restorative that we saw on the mask. Oh, sorry, and the mods. The mod that I'm currently using for the Pyco style sack is a utility assist. Okay, added 244 skill power, 1 increased poison duration, 2% increased disrupt duration. As you can see, is that my skill power is very low. I'm not basing this build off of just of skills. This is purely off of headshot damage and survivability. Okay, so now let's go into the next piece, the last piece of the brand set, which is the Talon Tactical Holster. Now the attributes I currently have is a modified critical hit chance capped out at 7.5%, health 6,424, with a utility protocol respiratory mod of 135 skill power, 2% grenade damage, and 2% headshot kill experience. Okay. So the brand set synergizes really well with itself. It adds the critical hit chance and the health to increase your survivability during combat. Now let's get into the other brand sets that I'm currently using. The Big Drum Body Armor, Overlord Armaments. As you can see, I have two others, and I'm going back and forth between which two others I want to use. But the reason why I'm using the Overlord Armament is for the added 10% of rifle damage in case I decide to exchange my marksman rifle for, say, a Merciless or a SIG 16. I'll have this added 10% rifle damage. Okay. Also the added 7.5% total armor for your survivability comes in play really well. The attributes: a modified critical hit chance of 5%, a added 17.5% critical hit damage, and an added 14.5% headshot damage. Another PvE talent that I feel is absolutely necessary for your build is an Unstoppable Force. Killing an enemy grants 2% weapon damage for every 10,000 max armor. As you can see, I'm right at the required amount of 7 defense or more. The mods that I'm currently using are offensive system firearms, so 1.5% weapon damage, added 3% LMG damage. This is where the black market comes in, and then an added 1% to damage to health to the enemies. And this also allows for a defensive system mod. So I'm using the defensive system mending. The bonus armor, 2,517, total armor, 1.5%, and then armor on kill, 2,126. This particular body armor synergizes really well with itself. Next, let's go to the gloves. So the gloves are the Neptune Protection Gloves, part of the Overlord Armament set. Again, we're focusing on health, survivability, 4,729, and again, rifle damage, 4%. Clutch, this is definitely a talent that you want to aim for, that you really want to get. Critical hits restore 50% of health and repair 2% armor. So while you're aiming downrange towards your enemies and you're landing critical hits, you are constantly restoring your health and repairing your armor all at the same time. This does require using an AR, SMG, or LMG. Given the situation, this is why I'm using the LMG. So lastly, for the knee pads, I'm using part of the Heliguard Sidewinder knee pads. Now, using the Heliguard, this adds a 5% total armor. Along with the knee pads, this adds a added 7,241 bonus armor. The talent, which I really love, is the Patience. After being in cover for 3 seconds, armor repairs by 5% every 1 second. This pretty much makes you invincible with having this talent. As long as you're behind cover, you could take as much damage as necessary, but your armor is constantly going to keep repeating. And as long as you have the clutch perk added with your build, you are pretty much unstoppable as long as you're being smart about how you're fighting. With the Sidewinder knee pads, this allows for 2 defensive protocol slots, okay, or 1 protocol and a system mod slot. So the protocol has stamina. This adds 2,669 health, 3% skill health, and then 2,065 armor on kill. Next is the defensive system mending. Added 2002 bonus armor, 804 armor regeneration, and then 6% health regeneration. So the build itself is solely focused on survivability, plus headshot damage, plus overall weapon damage with critical hit chance, with critical hit damage. It's supposed to make it so that you are able to survive the conflicts that are involved with the challenging missions. The skills I'm using is the Hive. I'm running by myself, so having the Hive restore adds for a case I absolutely need to proc this skill. Allows for infinite health pretty much. And then with the drone, I recommend either using the drone or even the turret for that matter. Both can really be helpful while you're running solo. The turret lasts longer in my situation, providing rounds down range, and then the drone is very easy to kill, but it does help with distracting your AI targets, allowing you to focus solely on them or focus somewhere else while they're distracted by the drone. But overall, the build, of course, can be tweaked. Right now it's only world tier 4. We still have one more world tier. We still have the 3 gear sets, not brand sets, that are coming next week actually. So a lot of this is just to get through the basic part of soloing, gathering equipment, making the gear sets your own. So you take it with a grain of salt, you use it to your advantage. If it seems like something you like or want to use, copy it. But of course, not everyone is going to get the same roles I do. Not everyone is going to get the same attributes as I do. It's all going to be based on what RNG has in store, plus what you are trying to build for yourself. So there you have it. This is the build that I'm currently running and have achieved tremendous results, ranging from the evaded missions to the challenging bounties to the challenging story missions as well. Yes, this loadout will be constant and changed over time, but this is to give you a sense of what you should try and aim for if you mostly play solo. I have not tried this loadout in PvP, mostly because I feel that the normalization and the overall stats and effectiveness of the build will really not be noticeable. I feel that over time, though, Massive will implement gear sets and talents specific to the PvP aspect of things, but wanted to ensure that the end game was their primary objective. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share this if you want. Leave recommendations below and any comments. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for more Division 2 content, and I will see you around. Take care.